was one of them, and I'm here.
That's true.
Yeah,
So we don't need it.
exactly. I'm already here. I used to.
Do?
Yes. Well, there's the other one. There's
You must be the other one.
Right.
Okay. So anyway, I've been here before, just some house rules and stuff. Try not to leave any rubbish in if you have brought food or whatever. There's bins outside if you would not mind using those. There's a toilet just behind this other side of this wall here. If you need to, what else is important? They're the main two things that I have to deal with. So yeah, thanks for that. Are we good? Hi. Welcome. It's February 2015 to the Airstream. Tonight we have a special presentation. Our esteemed member Michael Kello, who's in town again after a couple of builds, haven't you? Since you've been in. And just maintenance stuff, so he's going to tell us about that. How are you? A few new people that haven't been, a few old that have been before. So should be an interesting night. There isn't. I've got a business. I'll just go over the committee meeting. What's been happening in regards to the accounts. I'll get Sam to give me an update with the purchasing, any projects that we've got on the schedule, and team. So we'll be hearing more from them very soon about when the next ASLAN's happening. Rumours for March, I think.
14th, I think.
Somewhere around. So that'll. And we haven't had an ASLAN in months now, so as a good fundraiser for ramping that up again this year. So what else is new? 6 lands for the year. That's good. Other fundraising news. Oh, of course, last month we had a members meeting, and then following that, on that we did a barbecue fundraiser at Officeworks. I mean, that was pretty successful actually, being that it was the start of the school as well. I'll get fundraising officer Tony to on that in a bit as well. And what else has happened? A few new projects sort of coming along. We've had contact from various in the community that are looking to do things on that from the network team angles. He's had a meeting with a few people regarding some new potential. And other news, the network team itself has been announced yet, has it? Or did you do? No, but you can tell us more about that. So our team has somewhat been formed after the nomination gone through last month, and thanks to everyone. Let's just start with the. And Sam, have you got any news for me or on this month's projects? I'll tell you, we do have a date now, certainly. 2,588 in restricted cash, and unrestricted cash 3,000, which is basically what's available to be allocated to the projects fit due to the funds of the last few months, which is yeah. Perhaps an update on how the Officeworks went. No one wants to hear from me all night. Come on down. Could be little. Also, our camera operators again for doing a great job tonight. Getting the stream online. I think we had a stream last month. So.
Well, standards quality. We had quite a successful Officeworks. Much better than we expect. Officeworks is generally, just mine busy. However, we are and said that was the most successful we've ever experienced. So it's about 500 something 70, which was on par with the previous barbecue we had at. And we had the timing. We had to do it quickly. We wanted to get it in this. Unfortunately, weren't aware of it, so we end up being a team of about 4 people, wasn't it? 4 people. So we were going flat out pretty well all day. But it will work. And also in the future, I have got June at Mitre 10 store at where was it again, on Dunburn Road. Which is usually not too bad, although it'll be winter coming. And we have also rebooked another barbecue at Bunnings, so there's probably a few more which will everyone plenty of notice for, so we can all do our bit, because it's a good day for bonding. People get together, the members come out, and it's not just all about barbecues either, I should say. So it looks pretty good. It's put a bit of money into our coffers for any future projects as well. So and I think that's
fantastic. And we're down. I know Dids and Nat aren't here, but they had a sleepless night, and we do appreciate. Did he? Oh, there he is. For coming down and helping with the queue. So what else we got? Of course, ideas for fundraising. Barbecues are just something we're doing at the moment because it's fair. Obviously, once you've got a bit of barbecue equipment in hand, you can easily go and do more of them. So, any other ideas for that, and any affiliate radio things like that will have an opportunity to do something, do let us know. It doesn't have to be a barbecue either. We could do anything. So. I don't want to have to rely on plan or these barbecues with different ideas for raising. And on that note, I mean, sorry, looking for before there, Sam, just on. Wasn't there something?
No, just the Noma station behind us over here.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Stuff, and I think they needed telling us.
That I'm not sure which one. Do that.
That's fine.
So, would you mind taking the floor for a while? What's happening in your world? Oh God, he's in configuration. So tonight's presentation there, Necron, what did you have for us?
A pretty informal presentation on everything. So, plan is for this one. I've got a few little points I want to talk about. I was sort of hoping.
Now we're team for this year, there's 10 of us. 10, yep, 10, including myself obviously. Sam Osborne's a TGF, I don't think he's here. He was getting involved last year, and he was, and hopefully this year too, seems pretty good. Joseph, he's a committee member, he's helping me with the Kurt Network team stuff. Steve Fraser, who's new on the team. Keen when he sent me his email, very keen since, so glad to have him on. Big you know him. Necron, everyone knows Necron. About to talk Harry. He's a good presentation, so glad to have him. Excited to get some more service from a network point, which is really glad that he's there to push that through his Hackman, our first admin, I believe. Yes, is that right?
Southernmost. Yeah.
Southernmost. Admin, which is great because I need someone down there to look after that stuff when I can't get to it.
On the other side.
Takes me 40 minutes closest one.
So just quickly, just for everyone that is there and how it operates.
So basically what is we look after the nodes, or the core nodes as we call them, as well as some other managed nodes that we look after for our peering groups and stuff. So basically,
so the committee, rather than making all the decisions on their own,
Yeah.
the management of and the maintenance of the corner.
Updated.
Everything that's funded by the club, so while we're doing them, so that we can build more of these nodes that are owned, and these nodes decide where they're built, important than something else.
Private residents.
Most of the time they're residents, yeah, they're usually...
I was going to show where it is and think it is.
Where it touches it.
What's
It's
big?
It's literally
Big?
right there.
Right.
That's
As many people know here, Mitsu's got shut down, and that's the Mitsubishi plant. So, ago, the government decided they were going to redevelop it. So it's a suburb, it's a place, right?
Has its own shuttle bus.
Yeah, it does have a shuttle. And this is a very old photo. It hasn't really changed. Oh, sorry, it hasn't changed, but there has been a lot going on here, and with Tony on this, and yeah, look at this new building they built with I don't know, it's pretty much all directions. The only thing is obviously or cement norming. It's the no DV. You'll see that we have nothing in there really. We've got asphalt lines who are connected to Bedford Park, and get something there. I don't know. We've been there and had a look. We had a really good chat to the guy before. Really looking after us, put it that way, for us by putting on every.
So around the building,
Yes.
basically what he's got is we've got 360 coverage of the building, around the building. Masts attached, and there's 3 masts on each pillar. And each pillar there's 5 fibre that are pretty much for us to use to get.
40 as well. So
And
literally-
240 for power. So essentially walk in, plug a device in.
and then
Those are all completely network. They run straight back to his lab, where they are patched panel, where he has nothing in it.
We can have like, say, a few sectors and a backbone on each corner.
We hope so in long term.
I think that they will. Yeah,
We haven't thought about anything like that yet. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, 260.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We can do speed tests between them.
I'll just sort of give you an idea.
The other thing too, there's 3 more mounting points that we actually have under the developing,
Yeah.
which would give us pretty much coverage of the entire campus. We also have
Yeah, no, that's
pretty much that's what I was looking for. Yeah.
So is that a developer that's working there?
He's electric stuff.
Oh, okay, so he has ability to take
What's the
Don't actually. Telecommunication.
Are they doing a new school?
Fiber.
Are they doing a new school there now?
He's been there for a long
just
time.
found the Airstream heat office?
Pretty much is yeah.
I get one too. Cool. It's pretty huge. Like I said, building. You've got a lot of offices and stuff, and the best thing is
GP2 plus.
Yeah. Better. But yeah,
Yeah.
the best thing is the access. Like the guys like there, no problems at all. You guys can, and there's people working there, like
The guy,
searching stuff, and they're like, I don't worry about them. They're just
we were
over
there, and
us.
the guy's like, "What are you doing?" Well, we're just testing. He's like an experiment. Everyone there seems really, really excited about everything all the time. Really smart.
So and they're all interested to know what we're doing as well. So
That's how you get to be that smart.
well, I'm really hoping that we can sort of, I'm not saying use it as like a recruit drive, but I mean, be going there. And they're going, what's this airstream like? They've got.
We're going to need
Yeah, so we're going to get Pete. What's feeding us back with input of just.
There is a catch.
I had to ask.
We sat there for like 2 hours trying to find a catch. And
We really did. We tried to nut it out.
You need to put up posters for people to get interested into it. But
he's like, yeah, no, he's really, really helpful. Which I'm thinking is a lot at the moment.
On a good note, I'm about to move into the Aurora building on Prairie Street, and on the 12th story up there, it basically is line of sight directly to the.
Yeah.
I can see that from outside the CEO's window, and I said, would you guys mind if I put a panel in the window? It would just be, it would look like a picture frame. No, like, yeah, fine. So,
That's good.
yeah, something like that. So, and I'm because I'm moving into the second floor, I've got customers on the second floor. And
In my
and
backpack.
I've got key cards
Oh,
to get
that's
up both and into both floors after hours as well. So
That'd be sweet, like a 120-degree sector.
Cooks up pictures, it's put up there.
I get, no, we're basically right next to the
Cooks up
second.
pictures.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I was
Yeah, we can jump on.
I don't you
Sure.
So,
Got some pictures I'll show
no,
later.
that's awesome, and like I said, we'll have to try and invite Paul down again to give us a bit of a talk.
Yeah,
on what
Paul's
he's
happy
doing.
to come and chat, just let you
Vice
know.
versa, yeah.
He's really helpful really all the time.
So other network related, quickly, have you got them on a USB or something?
Yeah, he does.
So it's fit to see.
So basically, I can throw text in the Zoom,
Yeah, that's true.
so it seems like doing here, South
Smith Hill, Shadow Park. I guess you can give us an update on those two next
See.
one.
Two South,
Smith Hill, Shadow Park.
Sure can.
South and
We do that real quick.
Through.
We get to that.
Yeah, cool.
Yep, so today we did, today we did, finished off Shadow Park install, hence why I'm still filthy. I've literally come straight from there. So yeah, we ended up putting up a 120-degree sector covering in down sort of the valley area that is sort of skewered by hills. Backbone connection back to Cement Hill and Omni for beaconing of everything. So I ended up using a 15-metre telemast there, knocking out the top 3 metres of that, so it's nice and solid. And yeah, it's quite nice, pretty happy with it. The site owner's really happy with it because on the very top of the mast he's got his CB UHF antenna, and they're getting much better range now than what they were, so everyone's happy there. That's really all there is to say about that. We'll chuck some pictures up on the gallery probably tonight, tomorrow, something like that.
When I got home, I had a chat to one of the guys at the front counter over the radio and told him that yeah, it's working, it's coming through from my place.
Yeah, so their CB antenna goes, where are you now?
Woodville.
Woodville to Shadow Park
Woodville to
easily.
Shadow Park.
So definitely, considering they couldn't reach Majors Road before. So
So this line down the bottom right from that is going where? And is that real?
no, that's not real. That's,
line?
yeah, that's not real.
Yeah.
That's line of sight to looking at Meadows.
Is anyone connected to Shadow Park yet?
Not
Yes.
yet, because I haven't really realised.
There will be
It's only connected to it before and it works fine.
Not yet, no.
Alright, it's not that permanent.
No. It literally went fully online. Well, probably now while Justo's configuring it.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. It's now online.
And is anyone connected?
Is anyone connected?
Come on.
Yeah, so that's Shadow Park. That was good fun, that one.
There is a picture of the sector on the
Yeah, later. They'll be on the gallery for all those that.
Yeah, we're the only ones that are going to see it at the moment.
Yeah. And the other one was Cement Hill, so we went there leg where got caught on a Yagi, so that was good fun. So yeah, Cement Hill, been having a few issues there with a couple of the rockets for quite a while now, so re-terminated 2 cables up the top of the tower, and yeah, found that it's definitely not the cable on one of them. It looks like the actual isolation transformers that cook itself in the rocket, but bench testing will tell us that anyway. So we've got another one to swap in there. What are we looking at?
That's Cement Hill.
Oh, okay, that's Cement Hill. Cement Hill's up on top of the hill.
Cement Hill.
Awesome view.
How's that link, Hank? How's that link there?
It's
Your
not,
link?
it's not putting my spot.
I've got a Lonsdale.
Alright, so this is just some redundant line that someone drew in there. Never mind me then.
Testing on a
Looks like you got line of sight though, Just.
It's not putting mast height in either.
Not that signal's not that
It's
strong.
not great, yeah. Sorry mate.
It's not putting mast height in either.
It's rough.
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
How dare you do that?
Bug report. Done.
Yeah, where's the bug report?
I sent you an email. Yeah, so it's literally Shadows. Tony's all of about 400 metres from it.
Yeah.
He'll have good fun there.
And the link to Lonsdale from Cement Hill. Still quality?
Yeah, that
No
plane's
issues?
good. So yeah, that's what's happened in the last 2 days. So the plan at the moment is to head back to Cement Hill on Monday to swap out that rocket, and yeah, it should get our northern 2 gigahertz coverage running properly again.
What's our Cement Hill link there?
The NRC is a good one because it's like 6 metres from the ground when it should be 45. But yeah, that's those ones.
Awesome. That's a good link.
Yeah, that one.
It's a volcano at the moment. Yeah. The lava flowing out. You want to show us the bit? That's alright, it's that bad. How many pics are there? Damn you Windows.
Forest check.
These ones?
Forest check.
These aren't naked.
Oh, okay, so cement, that's the other one I forgot about. Cement Hill, one of the guy wires snapped, and it actually corroded off on the cable. So
Can you see that, Sean? Does that come out? Yeah.
yeah, so we had the guy wires there are using a product called the Anchor Lock duct build, and the ones that we installed in there were recommended for the application. However, we grossly underestimated the salinity of the soil there, and yeah, 8mm galvanised wire rope has just corroded straight through in 2.5 years. So that snapped off. So we're down to 5 wires on that tower now. That's Cement Hill there. It's mildly awkward to climb when it's on its side like that. But
Could be easy.
what are we looking at? That looks like fibre.
Let's go fibre, hasn't it?
Not this isn't cement. Yeah, I'm assuming this is Tonsley.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
Oh, I see.
Rotate
Oh, you can rotate it.
I don't know how to use these computers.
Yeah, so they've got these things everywhere. They're television mounts used, which is fine. It's got like a plastic thing on it.
I like that.
Where?
It's cool.
LCD.
Look later.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's all related to where they are. So you don't even, and you can put like a little board here for us, to put gear on. And it's all in the corner, so there's people working here, and yeah. So again, for access, it's really good. And then there's not really a photo I can show you that'll show you line of sight around the building without, doing this.
Where's that building?
This is the Tonsley building.
Oh, okay.
And that's the network room too, which is, like I said, it's great because we've got access to it and a whole bunch of stuff there.
That's also in the room, probably.
Yeah, so that's all ours, or access for our gear. You can see where everything's got a sticker on it, it's going, you can use it. So, and they're going to be using it for their experiments as well. They've got plans for doing like 1 gig stuff and whatever. But they've already asked us for assistance with that, and I said, yeah, well, there's going to be somebody in the club who's going to be able to help you. So I think it's Bedford Park, Chris, is it? Or
That building.
over here, or I didn't know quite where it was, but yeah.
Yeah. Picking. That's still more elevated than I thought.
That's like the 4th story, so you can still see like pretty good coverage where so. Yep, not a picture though. So that's what he's given us there. So that's what he's given us there for like on every, and there's 11 of them. There's like a lot.
Wow.
So if you look at that and go, yeah, how much money is that? So we feel pretty lucky to get anything this good. So it's good. Not having to do any infrastructure or any of that Highgate Park drama we had.
No, you don't have
Yeah, I
that
see.
time.
Yeah, so
Yeah, I see.
Yeah, cabling between the two.
go to the
Yeah,
next.
sweet.
You go to the next picture. Oh yeah.
Those are concrete, aren't they?
Yeah, they're all solid. So that's what holds the building up. So there.
Yeah, they're right through.
But like I said, they're distributed like sort of not evenly. They're sort of like there's one. There'll be like 3 on the 4th floor and then 5 on the other floor. So they're not going to be. It's not like an EARC setup where we've got like one floor. It's all ours. We can put wherever we want 360. It's more like it's scattered where he has control, which is better for us because it means that we go, hey, go on, Paul. We're having problems with number 10. He's like, yeah, no worries. Just give us a call, and and having that sort of accessibility is great because then we don't have to get access to the roof and
So
all that.
also got greater separation.
Yeah.
That's always.
We're not going to be using every one of them.
Yeah,
they,
side to that's.
they're going to be doing their stuff as well. So they want to do testing with lasers and all sorts of shit.
Use the same frequency on the opposite side of the building then.
Well, that'd be the great thing, wouldn't it? If you can use one channel for all the sectors, it'd be great. But I don't know. I don't know what they've got at EARC. I think we don't have that. Yeah, but yeah, it's good. It's a good site. So
Yeah, this building's a lot bigger than
yeah,
the water tower. So
it's really wide as well. So it's yeah,
you've got stuff in between the building and the point down the
lots of
way.
metal and all sorts of stuff. Yeah. There's the AP in every room and lots of junk as well. So it's all very crazy building.
And there's no roof access at all. They're putting everything on the roof.
That's Google.
That's what's commercial.
Alright, well that's cool. We look forward to hearing more about that.
You're being watched.
Apparently.
I think we'll get into this presentation. I know Necron is itching to get it going, so he's all ready.
Oh yeah, I'm thrilled. So as I said,
Bring it on.
I'm going to do this very informal. I have a whiteboard marker, so I'm going to draw pictures for you all. Can I have the next slide, please, Mr. Floyd?
Certainly.
So basically what I was going to have a bit of chat about tonight was planning a mast, building a mast, and things you probably should think about when doing a mast. So my main points are going to be identifying requirements, mounting guide wires, and ongoing maintenance. A couple of these things we do without thinking, some of the other ones generally get forgotten. So if we go to the next slide.
And it's safe to say, if you want to be on a network team, you need to know this kind of stuff as well.
Yeah.
Not to mention doing your own builds.
Yeah, it's something every member should know, is how to plan and build a mast properly. So identifying requirements. This is something that we sort of, most of these points that I've got up here, we do without thinking, some of which often get overlooked. So load requirements, accessibility, wind and exposure of the mast, existing infrastructure that you've got to work around, and visual requirements is becoming more and more important when planning masts, so the council doesn't send us an angry letter. So I'm going to start off with these with load requirements and wind and exposure, because it's something that I've done wrong myself. I've broken masts. If it's possible to destroy a mast in a certain way, I've probably done it. Not the best way to learn, but it is a way to learn. So one thing that we're all very, very good at doing is overloading masts. When you look at requirements for masts and things like that, and when we're planning our builds, first thing we should be thinking about is how much gear do we want to put up there? How much gear could we possibly want to fiddle with? Are we going to put other things on the mast? Is there going to be a TV aerial up there as well? Are we going to put a satellite dish hanging off the side of it? Those sorts of things. Do we want to put a wind turbine on there as well? Who knows? So load requirements are very, very important. And the Hills Telemasts, the Biotech version of them, are very good data sheets. Maximum loading on those masts is roughly 13 kilos, which is not much when you start putting cable runs on there. You put a couple of sectors on there, you've overloaded. So 13 kilos for reference, a Ubiquity 120-degree sector plus a rocket and the brackets, they're 7 kilos by themselves. Doesn't feel it, it is, chuck it on the scales. So something worth having a good think about when you're designing your mast. How much gear do you want to put on it? Sometimes you don't know that before you start. And yeah, over-engineer is probably the easiest way there. And wind and exposure, so I'm talking exposure to elements. Are you on a hills facing zone, something like that? Are you right up against the ocean? How much wind are you likely to get on that mast? How much gear are you going to have on it? Do you need to think about things like radomes, extra supports? Do you need to stiffen it up? Those sorts of things. So they're all things that sometimes some of us do without thinking, some of us may not have ever thought about it. Some of us might have a piece of conduit running up and have stuff strapped to that. I've seen that done before. Goes on to accessibility. All I'm getting at there is how do you get the gear on the mast? How do you change gear on the mast? How do you actually physically access that radio that's just died at the very top of the mast? Cement hill, for example, you need someone that can climb straight up the side of it. Shido Park we've just done, you'll drop the mast down, go like that. Some other masts tilt over. Hampstead Gardens is an example of that one, that's got a custom mount on it. you physically tilt the entire mast over. Can't think of too many other types. Some of them you can just reach the antennas straight on. So accessibility and how you are going to actually use the mast are very important things to think about at the start when you're first planning your mast as to what style of mast you want to use. Existing infrastructure is pretty self-explanatory. Is there other gear there that we need to think about? Is there power lines close? If our mast, for God knows what reason, falls over, is it going to fall on power lines? Things like that. If that happens, you get nice fireworks. You get angry phone calls. So existing infrastructure can be things like buildings, trees, other antennas on the structure. So sites that may have high-powered transmitters already there, you may need to have a think about how you're going to do your mast to minimise interference with the existing gear. So a lot of these things, yeah, we sometimes do, sometimes don't. They're things to be thinking about. Visual requirements, are you going to annoy the shit out of your neighbour? Had that one before as well. It's not fun. One of the biggest tricks to this one, especially if you're going to put some big gear up on the mast, is put it up there and don't turn it on for a couple of weeks and wait for the complaints to come in. And then they say, oh, your new antenna's knocking out my TV. It's like, well, see that there? That antenna's not actually plugged in. Go away. Be nicer than that, because you generally get really shitty if you're very tall. So identifying the requirements. Very first stage you should be thinking about. To me, this is the very first thing you would do when before you even think about your wireless gear on the mast, is what am I likely, how keen am I going to get, and how much gear am I likely to ever stuff around with. Hard to sometimes pick because technology changes. When I first built my mast, we weren't ever looking at parabolic dish antennas. We were using grids and Yagis and all sorts of fun things that are noisy as hell. Now we've got shiny new dish antennas. The loading requirements of my mast have actually changed now, so they catch a lot more wind. So where could the technology possibly go in the future? Who knows? Are you likely to put nice big heavy solid cast antennas up? Who would know? So my big point here is over-engineer and assume that whatever you're going to put on there, double it, and you're probably going to be close to what you actually need. Any questions on that point? Comments? You think I'm full of crap? Do you want me to go?
Do you generally use like existing manufactured masts?
Some places, yes, we do.
Yeah.
So the Shadow Park install is an off-the-shelf mast.
Yeah.
Even still, with that, we do make our certain parts of it ourselves. So a lot of the masts that you can buy off the shelf are generally fairly lightweight and designed for things like TV antennas. So the Telomasts are a very good example of that. You look at the user manual for those and the documents supplied for them, every example is using a TV antenna. That's what they were designed for originally. The off-the-shelf wire kits and things that come with them are generally designed for a lot smaller head loads, so your wind loading side of it. So quite often we don't use the supplied wires and we go to a wire rope or something. I'll talk about guy wires a bit later. But where we can and where practical, we like to use off-the-shelf parts, but half the time it's actually cheaper just to build something new.
Do you ever run into issues with having to get it certified like structurally by qualified people and things like that?
Generally, if you're so most council areas you can do about 6 to 8 metres without building approvals, as long as it's not attached to a structure. Because they aren't classed as a structure themselves, no, you don't need certification. Some sites do ask for testing reports. The ARC is an example of that. Equipment on a water tower, they wanted to see that we'd side of the mounting and what were relations, and I gave them so much data their heads bang.
Or something you don't do.
So,
That's
I've got
easy.
the toys. So, sometimes yes, you do. 99 times out of 100, no, you don't, because they're not technically classed as structures because they're too small. It's like if you were to build a shed. In some areas, you can build a shed under 3 metres and you don't even need approval for it. that's what I got there. Anyone want to know anything about this? Nope. Okay. As an Airstream member, you have access to public liability insurance. But please don't drop masts on people. Because there's a lot of paperwork.
And unless you're having a barbecue on that day and everyone's invited, it doesn't apply either. So.
I thought if it landed on someone in public, it did. If your mast fell out the front of your yard, someone.
Potentially.
Yeah.
50 members present.
There's a great.
Definitely depend on if you what.
Yeah. So short of it, maybe. It's always really depressing when you see the mast go like plop, and it's like, oh, balls with gear on the top of that. Oh well, it's there now.
Unless it gets caught by a power line or something, you can say.
Yeah. I've watched masts fall over. There's nothing you can do about it. I've done some silly things trying to save masts from falling over. Just ask Sam Goon. But anyway, I still have my hand. It's all good. That was a bad day.
Let's catch that.
Yeah. Short of it, don't try and catch a wire rope. Can I have my next slide, please, Troy? Mounting of masts. So for the bulk of this, the majority of masts on the network are going to be something like a cylindrical pipe, a telescopic round mast, something like that. There are the rare circumstances where you're lucky enough to have access to lattice towers, things like that, or a square tower. I don't know why you would. Chris has got a really cool mast. It's a monopole, if you might, climbing pegs all the way up it. Mounting for equipment on masts changes for every single mast. Mounting for the actual mast itself, where it's going to fix, changes for every single mast. There are no two sites that are exactly the same. So there's a few things that we want to have a look at when we're working out where we're going to put our mast and how we're going to attach our mast. For argument's sake, let's say we're going to use a telomast, because that's what one of the most common ones to use is. Either a telomast or a 6 metre piece of water pipe. Two most common things we do. So we want to think about how are we fixing the base? How is it being supported? Do we need guy wires? Are there solid stays? Is it short enough that we can get away with using solid stays? Where are we physically going to put it? Can we lay it down if it's that style of mast? Can you actually get into it to work on it? Structural stability of the mast, as well as structural stability and the critical structural components of what you're fixing it to. Are you bolting to the side of a building? Do you need to think about, all right, is that wall actually capable of supporting this? 9 times out of 10, probably. There's always that one time that someone's decided to bolt something into mortar. Seen it. Go up. Or, yes, bolted into asbestos. Seen it. Go up on the Highgate Centre. You'll see some outriggers on the side of the bolted straight into mortar. Brilliant idea. Don't do it. No-go zones are things like power lines, asbestos roofs, what not to do and what to do, because chances are everything I told you not to do I've probably done. But have a think about if the base of your mast moves, the top's going to move. So you want that base to be nice and sturdy, it cannot move. My trick, Cook does the same thing. If we put a mount on the side of the wall, I want to be able to hang on it. That's 100 and something kilo.
This is a Shido bar. Necron can hang on a Shido
Yeah,
mount.
Shido part mount, so I can hang on them. That's
Yes.
100 and a lot of kilos.
You can hang 2 Necrons on one mount.
Yep. You look back at our old Port Adelaide masts. They were capable of holding about a tonne each. There was 3 on each mast.
Just curious on what fixings are you using and what's going
But bricks,
bricks and rancid,
yeah, Dynabolts,
dynamos,
M10 Dynabolts,
anything.
M10s, Yep.
And how
Yep.
far?
70 mil.
70 mil.
70 mil. Good for, on paper they're good for about 500-600 kilos each. I would not want to test that.
No, that's shear weight.
No, working load, and you look them up. Shear weights in like the order, shear strength is in the order of about 1.2, 1.4 tonnes. I don't want to test it.
You don't want to get there.
I don't want to get there. If you're getting to 1.2 tonnes on one of your mounts, there's something not right. As Cook's just pointed out, through bolts, really, really nice if you've got access to the other side of the wall, and whatever the other side of the wall can actually have a nice big bolt or a piece of running thread or something going through, and you have a backing plate on it. That's what we did at Port Adelaide. We've done it at a few other sites as well over the years.
Well, if someone has a problem with the bolt sticking out, you can put it all the way through and then cut the rest of it off.
You're still going to have a bolt there that's a visual side of it. So it goes back to my previous point, the visual side of it. People mightn't like having a bolt sticking through their wall. I know if I tried to get away with that,
You know, paint and put it on top.
yeah, if I tried to get away with that at my mother's place, I'd be shot. So yeah, the actual mounting of how you're fixing your mast to a structure is vitally important, because if it moves, your whole mast is going to move, it's going to come down and you're going to have tears. If you're doing a freestanding mast, you're thinking about how much weight do I need under this mast if you're doing a concrete base. So I've got a 150mm lattice face tower in the backyard. It's 12 metres tall-ish. That's got roughly 900 kilos of concrete sitting under it. The guide wire mounts have got about 500 kilos under them. Cooks, yeah, it's about leverage. So if your guide wires to snap, is it going to fall over? Those sorts of things. So my mast can actually stand up by itself without guide wires. I wouldn't want to leave it there for long, but it can do it. So yeah, thinking about how stable is your base? How stable is it? What are you attached to? Yeah, how stable is the thing you're attached to? Those sorts of things. Very important one is identifying critical structural components. So rule of thumb, if it looks like it is a structural column or some metal beam or something like that, generally don't drill into it. You'll find your civil guys will chuck a tanty if you start drilling holes in structural members. They really don't like it. On that same note, if you're working on a freestanding lattice tower, such as like an old windmill tower, the Meadows site is a good example of this. Check it out on gallery, it's really cool. Sort of freestanding, what do they call them? Pyramid type towers. Never ever drill a hole in those, because every part of those masts is a structural part. You drill holes, you're weakening one part of that mast. They are designed to have things clamped to them. So if you don't know it, in saying that, I've done it before I knew about it and I got told off very, very quickly. So don't drill holes in things that look important. If you don't know, ask. There are people around that probably know what they're doing. There's probably people around that have made the mistake before. IRC, members at. Ask people on the club. That's why we're part of a club. So ask someone that knows. Yeah, that's about what I got on the mounting side of the masts. Questions, comments, discussion.
It's probably worth mentioning that wind loads can put quite substantial forces
Oh,
on
yeah.
the tower, and those forces are not in the same direction as the weight.
Exactly. So that comes down to my next slide is the guide wires. How good am I? So I ran a quick calculation the other day. Ran a quick calculation on a 12-metre mast that had 0.6 metres of direct wind loading at the rated winds for an area. The rated maximum winds for this area were 140 kilometres an hour. It's putting on that top wire, it's putting, I think it was 3-point-something tonnes of force on this wire. Huge amounts of it, and because you've got a nice big lever there, there's just amazing amounts of forces involved. So brings me to my next point, unless there's other questions about mountings, how to work out how much you need, that sort of stuff.
Yeah, is this going to be on the test?
Sure is. Sure is. You can't leave unless you pass.
Every 3 meters, right?
Yep. So, guide wires. Necron's rule of thumb, every 3 metres above 6 metres. So if it's only a 6 metre mast, put them at 6 metres. If it's a 9 metre mast, 6 and 9, and you can work it out from there. When you start getting over, well, I highly doubt that any of us will ever have the fun time of building anything over probably 15 metres, then it's as manufacturers recommended. With all of this, if there is manufacturer's documents on the off-the-shelf mast, follow their directions. So, how many wires is the $1 million question. How many do you need to make it so it's not going to fall over? In an ideal world, the wires are only there to keep it stable. It should be able to stand up without wires, because if that wire snaps, you don't want that mast falling over. How big do the wires need to be? Generally we're using 5 to 6 millimetre wire rope. Why don't we use braid? Because it stretches. A lot of your off-the-shelf masts come with braid because it's 1/10 of the price. How do you tell the difference? Wire rope's expensive and it looks really shiny and nice. Braid looks cheap and nasty. What's that say? Calculating lengths. If you really want me to go through calculating wire rope lengths, I will, but I really don't want to. You all done Pythagoras theorem in high school? If you can't work it out, go back to Pythagoras theorem.
Work it out, get a piece of string and tie it, and then measure each.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And whatever you think it should be, add 2 metres.
Yeah, measure twice and cut one.
Yeah, whatever it should be, add a couple of metres. Components, I was going to bring them in and I completely forgot about it. What components are in a guide wire? What makes them up? So you've got your things like your thimbles, your wire rope grips, your turnbuckles, D-shackles. If you think you need 2 D-shackles per wire rope, buy 4. Because chances are you'll need them. General layout. Cookbook, do you want to talk about terminating wire rope or not?
I reckon for guide wires, get twice as much as you think you need.
Yeah, I was. So,
This is not sex ed.
this is not sex ed. Wire rope. You've obviously got one solid long piece of wire rope. You want to put an eye on the end of it so you can connect it to something. All the components. Cookbook. Talk. You're not talking.
I'm a dogman, so I've done this sort of stuff like on a bigger scale. I'm going to shout you down on this one. A lot of the builds we do, we don't need like excessive amounts, and we normally use about sort of 4 to 5 mil rope, so it's like 4 mil or 5 mil, which is like, it's got a
FSWR.
Yes, we could do FSWR, but that's a whole nother fucking theory. Yeah, so, and the breaking strain of this is pretty, like it's fairly high, like it's pretty good stuff.
3 ton or something.
Yes, it's pretty good. So, yeah, so majority of my builds I usually use 4 mil, mainly because it's sort of that cost effective bit, where it's sort of like, that's the right stuff to use for the job we're going to use it for.
The other side of it is if you go too big, you're not going to get the tension on it to keep it straight either.
Yeah.
It's going to be sagging. So you'd never put, on mast that we'd ever build, you'd never put 10 mil rope on it. It's just silly. It's going to cost you an absolute fortune. Even the 50 metre masts don't use 10 mil rope.
Yeah, they just use lots of rope.
They just use lots of rope.
And they have a lot of, they work on redundancy, so they work on like, if we lose 3 wires, will the mast fall over? Right, good, yep, let's double it over again.
Yeah, which gets back to my point of your mast should be able to stand up without wires.
Yeah. So you've got a couple of parts to the guide wires. I call them guide wires. People call them guide wires. I think whatever it's called. So you pretty much got your rope, which will come down from your mast. Sorry if I'm going a little bit. I haven't really rehearsed this or anything, but I've just done it 100 times. You've got your fixed point wherever you're attaching it to. Could be the roof. Could be a chimney or a tree.
I highly recommend not a chimney or a tree.
Yeah, it's bad.
The trees let go.
Sometimes you can use them.
So chimneys.
Yeah, so you've got guide wire that goes into. So you've got. I'll say I use like a piece of what we used on Shoto Park. So it's a piece of angle iron.
Angle iron bolted to the roof is always a really nice one, straight into a beam or something.
It's got a nice D-shackle on it, which means the wire will give you a bit of movement as well, and it's very easy to take off. Whatever. And then you've got your iron, and then you've got your, how's it bloody called, thimble inside it, which is, it pretty much keeps the form of the wire regardless if it gets tension or, and also the other thing too is it's also a visual when you look at it and you see if it's moved, if you can see that the thimble has moved in the mount, you can actually tell if the mass is
loosened off.
Yeah. So it's also a really good, especially with the wire rope we're using. It's not very thick, so it hasn't got a tendency bird cage and even break. So it's always a good idea to put a thimble in.
It also keeps a nice curve on the wire, so you don't have a sharp edge where you're attaching it to whatever.
Getting all over your hands.
Yeah.
So if you need to adjust the wire later on, you have a sharp edge to
Correct.
punch harder.
Or it's not going to wear through it as quick. That's more the point.
You've got your so this is the eye, and then you've also got your turnbuckle, which is a bit like this. It's a bit sort of.
There is a couple of different ways of attaching to turnbuckles as well. Some people like to go directly onto the turnbuckle, so they put the thimble through the turnbuckle and then attach like that. Personally, I like to use a D-shackle, but it's each to their own.
And yeah, what I usually do is I wind these right out. I go all the way out until you can literally see a little bit of thread sticking out through here.
Probably only one or two.
If you've got like M8s or M6s you use, there's plenty of thread on there for whatever you're going to do. And that means that when you've got your wire there, you know where they're all set to. And when you start turning, you've got a lot of movement, so you can go, oh shit, we really stuffed this up. We need to go, you know, I've got to pull this one in, and this one can stay out or whatever. So you get yourself a lot of movement, and you know, right at the end when I'm finished, I'll use like a spanner and just put a couple of turns on it, and it will not move. And you can go up there in 2 months' time and check it again, and again, that's the whole rule of thumb when you get to your point of how tight it needs to be and all those sort of things. You'll pick that up from other members and stuff. So.
Yeah. Everyone's got their own take on how that should be. Personally, it's depending on what you've got up there. So some sites you want a little bit of movement, depending on what's there.
How many wires and how many sets you've got and everything.
The one that...
Yeah, I know you want that one. I'm getting to that.
That's your wire.
Yeah. So next, getting on about this. This is your wire rope grips. So we normally use, you really should use two. Like I've seen sites where they use one. Obviously the second one's there for redundancy. It's designed so that it doesn't slip. The wire's not,
Yeah, if you read the Hills mask, they will tell you to use two.
It's a little bit like this.
Yeah, it looks a little bit like a tiny little U-bolt. You've got a nice little saddle.
Yeah.
I think at Undo we use 3.
Yep. Yeah, I've used 3 on my tower. I've got 3 on each wire.
Yep.
Now the other one, and I will get it back backwards. These only go up one way.
Yeah.
Are those called D-shackles?
No, they're your wire rope grips. Your wire rope grips only go one way.
Yeah.
Google it. I do not know which way it is. I get it wrong
No, I
every
forget it
single
wrong
time.
too. You can, like I've even seen riggers in my job, riggers, they're higher than me. They flip them opposite ways, so
Yep.
it's sort
One
of like,
way, one the other.
yeah, and it's also like, they're doing different things than us, but they know better than what I do. But I'm saying like, what we do here, I would suggest you to put them the same way. And
Off the top of my head, I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure the bolts need to go this side.
yeah, this side of the wire,
Bolts go on the ends.
You
not
clamp
cut.
down on the spare.
not on the ends.
Yeah, the bolts go on the ends, not cut.
And it's not.
Yeah, so you know you have like a short end and a long end.
Yeah, so your bolts are here. So they're like, this is the extra part.
Yeah.
And I always sort of give myself, like, if this is the bottom part of the wire rope, at the bottom, I always give myself at least, I don't know, a couple of sort of turns. Like, I mean, you know, you've got your 2 meters there. It's not really necessary to cut it. If you need to change it later
Yeah,
on, if
and
you have to change the position of the collar,
That's
or,
it. That's
yeah.
it. And it'll come back to some sites you can't do that, especially if the visual side of it matters.
Yeah,
And if it's going to be in full view of the world, they don't want a nice big coil of wire rope there.
Make sure you've got at least half a metre extra.
Yeah.
Yeah, half a metre is a
At least half a metre.
good minimum.
It also, if you need to reset the wire, if something's happened, right, you've got something to grab hold of. Like, you get someone with some gloves, he's got like a metre of, you know, he can pull it up, or someone else is tightening it. So you haven't got this little section where you're trying to hold it and do all sorts of things while you're on a roof like that, and you know, all those things can go wrong. So yeah, it's always good to leave yourself a little bit. Just tape it up, put a cable tie on it. You know, it's there, ready to go. So if you need to move it,
Like I said, measure twice, always cut extra.
yeah, always cover these two. I mean, it's expensive, but it's to the point
The
where
stuff's
you've already,
like 30 to 60 cents a metre, just chuck
and
extra.
you've already
on.
come that far, so just
The last thing you want to have to do is go down to Hills and or Nobles and grab more.
Yeah.
That's just annoying.
I'll definitely say this. I really suggest everyone not go to Bunnings. You will get shafted on price, and they don't always have the right stuff. The majority of the gear they've got at Bunnings is not rated for lifting, which is we're not really lifting, but we are working with the same sort of weights.
Yeah.
So and as Nick
The
said,
quality of the components as well, generally, like your wire rope grips are generally a lower quality.
Yeah. I mean,
the D-shackles are...
the stuff that they sell is for shade sales and things like that. And you know, I'm sure you can tell me 5 stories about someone's shade sales that flipped over on a night where I sleep very well at night, knowing that when I do a site or help someone with a site, I put the right gear on it and I can go up to the mast and shake the crap out of it and it doesn't move and I go, yep, that's fine. It's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
So.
As Airstream members, you have access to member discounts, one of which is Nobles, who sell all of this sort of gear. So they sell wire rope, they sell all your turnbuckles, D-shackles, all that sort of gear.
Do they do the Ramsey gear?
I don't know.
Because I mean, I buy. The only thing I buy from
Bunnings do sell it.
is aluminium and brackets.
Yeah, I'd go to Capral for that. It's half the price.
So I just get like I get like 1.5 metre
Yeah.
length for ankle.
Yeah, but only still
does-
like
does-
half the price.
Yeah, but at the same time, I get my reps 6.
Yeah,
I'm talking like 10 or piece of
yeah.
but the there's someone who can go. There's Nobles open.
I think they are open Saturday morning. I think. If not, they open early as well. I think they open at about 7:30. They're on Grand Junction Road. Huge big warehouse, shiny, it's blue, it's new. So yeah, that's wire ropes. Always buy extras because I'll guarantee you the nuts for your thimbles, you're going to lose half of them. You take it off, it falls into a gutter, it falls down a drain, you'll lose bits. Buy extras, they're dirt cheap. You're talking 10 cents each for these sorts of things, thimbles like that. With our member discounts, rated D-shackles, M8 D-shackles are about 30 cents each. Bunnings will flog you about $1.50, $2, if not more.
Do those have nylons?
No, they don't have nylons.
Please get 10 extra.
They're a cast bit on them, so they actually bite in.
I haven't seen them.
Yeah, I've never put Nylox on them. Could if you really wanted. I don't think you need to. I never have. Yeah, that's it. It's just a pain if you need to reset them, and it's pretty. I haven't seen any. I've never seen wire rope grip nuts come loose. Not when they've been done up with an actual spanner anyway.
If anything, I've seen it lead to a point where you can't.
Exactly. They normally corrode up.
That's only on the extreme.
They normally corrode up, and you can't get them off anyway. So. The last pro tip I've got for you, when you cut wire rope, the grinder is a very handy thing. However, put some tape around the rope first, that way you don't get the nice frayed edges and then you cut the shit out of your hands. Tape it, cut it through the tape. It smells funny, probably don't breathe it, but quickest, easiest, cleanest way to cut wire ropes, you're not going to end up stabbing yourself, leave the tape on there as well. That's pro tip. Cook talking about one actually.
That's one of the life hacks.
Yeah,
Make sure when you cut the wire rope, cut the bit you meant to cut off. Not
yeah,
the
don't cut the wrong side. That's also really annoying. He has. Battery powered grinder is your best friend as well, if you've got one. Otherwise, normal grinder. Side cutters, don't do it. If you're rich and doing this all the time, buy wire rope cutters. They're about 60, 70 bucks for a pair. They cut like, they're brilliant. Yeah, hot knife through butter. They really are. They're razor sharp though, they'll take your finger off. Yeah. Yeah. That's the next slide, how to remove the finger. So yeah, has anyone got questions on guide wires? Or any more questions on guide wires?
Is there girl wire?
Maybe.
Right,
Maybe.
we're staying up the class.
Diz, you've got a sharp fringe, haven't you?
It's here all week.
No, I'm just
I'll let you go.
Next slide.
Next slide. Let's do the next slide. Maintenance. This is the one that always gets forgotten. How do we actually access that radio that's died on our mast? Yes, we don't want to admit it that things are going to die. They die. Everything dies eventually. It's fact of life.
Lightning.
Lightning's a fun one. I recently had one of my towers hit by lightning in WA. I had 4 Motorola radios die on that and 1 Ubiquiti radio die on it. The only stuff that survived on it was Ubiquiti gear, amazingly. None of the $1,000 radios survived. The only way to get up this mast is with a 27 metre EWP, which I had to drive, because they wouldn't give me a low loader, about 8 kilometres. All of 1 kilometre an hour. It is painful. And every time a vehicle went past, I had to pull over. So, thinking about how you're going to maintain a mast. In this example, if I were to build a new mast at this site, I would put something up that I can tilt over, because it's going to get hit by lightning again. Something I haven't even gone through is lightning protection and all that sort of stuff.
We'll make it fun.
Yeah, so how are you going to access it? Larger sites, if you can, climbable masts are really great. They are also really expensive, but they're awesome. Not always practical. The Tello masts are probably the most practical one for a client install. So if you're just putting up an Omni and a nano bridge or a single antenna, Tello mast is the way to go. They collapse down, you undo the bolts, they come down to about 5 metres, you can access your equipment with an A-frame ladder. Except for in-roof ones.
Don't put a Tello mast in your roof.
Yeah, don't put a Tello mast on a tile roof because it'll leak like a sieve. Another one, I know we've all done it before. They're not sealed.
That's why there's a mask.
We've all done it before, but you should never ever lean a ladder up against a mast. Then on any mast. Cook and I have got a really good story about that. We'll tell you it later when the cameras aren't on. Yeah, so never ever lean a ladder up against a mast. It's just not safe, it's not stable. Where possible, you want to bring the gear down to you. It may be a requirement that you need to get an EWP in, boom lift, scissor lift, whatever. Cook's got a mast that's like that. Fortunately it gets expensive, but you need to think about that. So access to your equipment and ongoing maintenance, those sorts of things. And I've spoken about it already, so I'm not going to go through upgrade strategies and future-proofing things again. Over-engineer. Think about how you're actually going to get to your equipment when it dies. It's not if it dies, it's when it dies. Everything dies. I've currently got 2 radios dead on my mast, but one day I'll get up there. I'm not all that interested in it at the moment. Yeah, 2 dead radios up there. One of them's been dead for 2 years now. Clearly not that important because no one's noticed. Yeah, have a think about how you're going to get your gear. Half of this will come back to the maintenance as well. Accessing your equipment also directly ties into how you're going to get it on there in the first place. So if it's a saga to get it on there in the first place, it's going to be a saga to get it down. So it's one that we always need to think about. We don't often think about it. But yeah, so that's the little bits that I've got. One little thing I'm going to show you. One little thing I'm going to show you. I'm a massive nerd and have no life, so on the weekends I like to design things that I'll probably never build. So
Except this one will be built.
this one's going to get built. So at the moment I'm designing a climbable 10 metre monopole mast for a good friend with a nice lightning rod on it. Don't ask me how long it took me to work out how to bend bar in this program. It was not fun. But this is a little one that I've been working on. It took me, it's about probably 18 hours of designing this mast, down to the point of I've done things like that was the wrong side because I haven't put nuts on that. Down to the point of putting welds in, defining welds, cut profiles. This,
Texturing the steel, that's nice too.
there's photo renders online.
Can you load it up with a ton of equipment now and see what happens?
I
Put some
just
36
got,
dBs on there.
I just got the simulation licenses as well, so I haven't yet done the simulations on this.
Ooh.
But when I was designing this,
I was so going
My-
to do some 36 dB CAD drawings.
yeah, good luck with that. Parabolic curves are really painful.
Oh shit.
So when I was designing this, I was thinking about what are common materials? How do I minimise wastage in building this mast? This mast is going to be expensive. It's going to cost about $1,000 to build this mast. So I'm using common materials, things that are readily available. There's common sizes throughout this entire mast. That's why some of these pieces are massively oversized. These braces are actually the exact same size as the actual standoffs for the mast that go out to the outriggers.
But there
However,
a standard material you're already purchasing.
when you buy that material, it comes in a 7.5 metre length. So rather than buying a length of this size, and only using a metre of one of them, I've used common sizes. Same with things like with rod and the actual round bar and things like that. So there's 3 lengths of water pipe, it's actually steam pipe I've spec'd for this one. Nice heavy wall.
Estimated cost?
Estimated cost for this one, I haven't done the numbers, but I'm expecting about $1,000.
And how tall is it?
This one's 10 metres. 10 metres, so
And how much under the ground?
yep, there's 1.4 tonnes under the ground, and I can't remember exactly the dimensions of it. I think it's 800 by 800 by about a metre deep.
Like
The grey
concrete?
box is concrete.
That's about a metre.
Yeah, the grey box is concrete.
And does it have wires or is it freestanding?
No, this is a guide mast. So this one has a set of wires that comes back to my rule of thumb. First set's at 6 metres, and then every 3 metres after that. So you'll see somewhere here, I can't see a thing at the moment.
Yeah.
There we go, there's a guide wire mount right there. So there's our ring that we're going to hook our wire rope onto. That's on the back bullshit.
And that's going to take a month just to get the metal together.
Yeah, it's going to take Mazza at least a month to cut the metal up for this.
Oh,
But the fun part is we're not paying for labour. So. Got things like cable management is always one that we sort of don't really think about. We just 99 times out of 100 we just cable tie cables down the side of the mast. Some sites it's alright, some sites it looks like rubbish. We're building a shiny mast, let's put some cable management in there anyway.
Got a shiny cable management or a shiny mast.
So I haven't yet run all the simulations on the load requirements of the foot pegs and things like that. Off the top of my head, I think I chose 16 or 18mm spring steel for the rods because it's actually quite cost effective. The round bits on the end are washers. They're only there to stop your foot falling off. So common materials is what I've gone with here.
Plasma cutter, welder,
No, I've actually done this, so you don't need plasma cutter now.
Oh, okay.
So the other one I was thinking about when I was designing this is what equipment have we got access to actually do it. So this one will require a crane to put up. There's no way you'd ever stand it up on its end. Off the top, what is it? Somewhere there, it'll tell you the weight of it.
672 kilos at the top.
Yeah.
Oh, that's including the concrete. That's not right.
672.
Yeah, okay, that's including the concrete.
So about 100 kilos.
Yeah. So all the material properties are in this as well.
Without the concrete, it'd be about
I must have done
80 kilos.
I must have done something wrong with the material in that concrete sort of muck.
Has a shadow as well?
Yeah, 182 kilos for
That
this
sounds
mast.
You're going to have to layer in the shadow there, Mazza.
Yeah, so I'm not quite sure how Mazza's going to build the shadow to be perfectly
I know, that's
straight
going to
down
be.
on
I'm going to have to, like,
Spotlight
force
on
the,
top.
I'm going to have
Yeah,
to force the
spotlight on
sun.
top. So
Yeah, stay right in the middle of
check
the
out
sky.
my blog for some photo renders of this as well.
I'm going to threaten the sun.
So
We're
yeah,
getting no moon.
Unless it stays right there.
This is basically, I 3D model everything that I build. Everything that I've ever built, I've 3D modeled pretty much because I have no life. So, yep.
Have you got somewhere to attach your harness onto when you're up?
Sure do. See that ring right there?
Yeah.
Rated at 1.5 tonnes. So yeah, 1.5 tonnes continuous. It's rated at about 15 kilonewtons impact. So you can hook your harness on there as you're climbing it. The intention is you use a parrot or a shark hook over the outer diameter of the mast. You don't obviously go onto a foot peg because it can fall off the end, so you go over a rigid structure. Yes, that's what that ring up the top was. These ones under here, these are the top guy wire mounts, so we get it out far enough to clear the foot pegs. The ones further down, they'll clear them anyway because I've got them offset. This mast, I think, has got 3 sets of guy wires on it. Last night I redesigned the actual guide wire mounts for them. I haven't got them in this computer, but they're all on my work computer at the moment. But yeah, that's one of the ones that I've done. Recently, we've used the same method when we designed the new mounts for the Elizabeth Water Tower, because the council wanted to see that yes, they are fit for purpose and can handle the loads that we're putting on them. So with those designs, they had load reports and things like that as well. They were designed to be able to handle 600 kilos of force on them, which is massively over ever do. Yeah, that's my world. So if you're interested in this side as well, chat to me on IRC. I really enjoy doing this sort of stuff, the design side of it. Yeah, that's all I got on this stuff.
Awesome.
We'll master it out.
Yeah.
Anyone else got any other questions on that? Anything related while we're there?
How can I extend that 100 trillion kilometers?
Get more money.
Higher?
Yeah. Money. That's
Yeah, really, that's
Oh, that's broken.
Money is the only issue.
usually.
Yeah, no, if you want to go anything over about 15 metres, so see here, this is the Elizabeth ones we did a few years back. This was in a previous version of the software where the rendering wasn't quite as nice, but it's still kind of cool. So, don't worry about those U-bolts, they actually did up in the real thing. So, modelled the window, and how it all swings together, so when you actually swing, this mount goes out of a window, so the antennas are outside, and it was designed so you could loosen the antenna off, swing it inside, do whatever you need to on the antenna, and swing it out again. That's these ones. But it's a fun tool. Yeah.
Recommended to get, right?
If you've got a spare 15 grand lying around, you can get a license to SolidWorks.
Indeed.
But I can't afford it. Work paid for it for me. There are other tools, so SketchUp is terrible, but it will do the job. It doesn't have any simulation capabilities in it, unless you're buying professional gear. I think there's a couple of open source ones around as well, but yeah.
And professionals got 15.
Exactly, yeah. There are other packages out there. A lot of people like using Inventor. It's quite nice as well. Personally, I'm not a fan, but it's because I was trained in SolidWorks. It's what I like to use.
You got 15 grand of software given to you.
Hey?
You got 15 grand.
Yeah, and I had 15 grand worth of software given to me, so
Oh, yeah, who
Pretty
doesn't
hard
want
to
that?
compete with that.
yeah, it's a bit hard to compete with. What's that?
Oh, to copy the
Oh, later.
later.
You can't even open it anyway.
I can,
So yeah,
technically.
over
Alright,
to you,
well-
make a Troy sauce.
Thank you again, Michael, for your insights. And yeah, we know you're always online there waiting to get your hands dirty on this stuff. So you haven't run out of things to do, have you? We have to
Oh, no.
What's the next thing?
You know, next thing is I've got to design some mounts for lattice towers, freestanding
No, yeah.
pyramid ones. I have ideas. Should be fun.
Good, eh? Alright, well, if there's no other questions on that topic, and we've covered most of the network stuff, is there anything you wanted to add there, Justo? We kind of just ended your report and segued into this. All good? How's Shido Park looking now? Lovely? Good work.
Oh, it's good. Don't say kind of. Don't scare me like that.
Alright guys, well I think we'll wrap it up there, and thank you all for coming along once again. Until next month. So,
We had a viewer in the Philippines tonight.
one Filipino viewer.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Said I'm looking mighty burnt.
You always look like that.
I know.
What, they
It's
sound on
been
Google
around.
Plus or
Sorry?
where did they view that from? Google Plus?
This.
Oh,
Yeah, it's
I've
fine.
got a YouTube channel now. Just Google Plus.
You can. It's at the time.
AutoCAD stuff, Autodesk, is that okay? Because I know they were offering that free if you had a student
Yeah, actually, yeah. Personally, I don't use Autodesk anymore. I have used it. Yeah, it's got all those same features in there. The simulation side of it is, the simulation side is not in the free package. However, you can get a pretty good mock-up of what you want to do. The other one I find is really fun to use is Meccano and things like that. So you'd be surprised how much you can learn just by fiddling. I've got, sitting in my shed, I've got mock-ups of mounts and things, just made out of scraps and stuff like that to test the strength of different types of joints. So, Autodesk is a good one, CATIA, but that's crazy expensive. Some unis have access to CATIA. Unis are a great place to actually get access to all this software as well. So.
The other question was just like lightning strikes and stuff. Is there like a way to go about that? Can you go about this Cat 5 cable going to your whole house?
Yes, there is. So, lightning protection is a whole black art in itself. The 30-second version of it is ground your mast. Put a nice big lightning rod in. Don't ground it to your house power. That is the worst possible thing you could do.
Ground someone else's structure with it.
Yeah, don't ground it to someone else's structure unless you have written permission to use their grounding stakes. Some sites like that, especially commercial sites, will already have grounding things for that sort of thing in place.
If you can, put your own in the ground.
If you can, put your own in the ground.
For something at least 2 metres in, minimum 2 metres.
1800 is the spec into the ground for a lightning rod. Larger towers, so one of the ones I've got at work, which is that's a 40-something metre tower, actually has 8 grounder stakes in it. It also has a sacrificial piece at the top for attracting the lightning. Just like that model that I had there has a breakout point on it. Yeah, a lot of your commercial towers have that as well. In terms of the Ethernet side, grounding as well, isolation is probably your better option. So don't give it a path to ground. So there are manufacturers around that make Ethernet surge protectors. Short of it though, you will never fully protect your equipment from lightning.
Static, generally.
Yeah, static. So you're trying to limit the build-up of the charge, hence the grounding. Give it a direct path; it won't build up. Some really good articles online about how lightning works and attracts to structures. Hundreds and hundreds of papers on it. There's standards about it. But yeah, grounding is the #1 key, and isolation generally on your Ethernet side of it. So.
Until we can harness lightning, then we can.
Yeah,
And
until we
every
get.
tower will have a lightning harness.
They'll be lightning powered then.
Yeah, I've actually got a lightning surge protector here for Ethernet. I'll show you later.
Yeah, I'm going to look at it. I know the Ubiquiti PoE things have some static protection.
That's static protection, it's not lightning protection. So if that's all you've got on your mast and your mast doesn't have a nice path to ground, you're going to blow out your power injector, possibly burn some wiring in the house because it'll be earthing through the building earth, the power earth, which is not a good idea. It gets very expensive, you have to recable a house.
Oh, yeah.
So things like water pipe would be bad as well?
For
Grounding? Earthing?
generally houses, the water pipes are earth to the electrical earth. I've seen it done. Personally, I wouldn't do it. I would put my own stake in. Another point to make about putting your own stake in, dial before you dig, is if you go through a pipe, it's going to cost you a lot of money. If you go through a fibre cable or something, it's going to cost you even more. They get really shitty about that sort of thing. But know where you're belting your peg into as well, because you are going down nearly 2 metres. Some grounds you can't go down that far. There are alternate standards for this sort of. Sorry? Yep. 1100, 1100, ring it. If you're going to belt something in, dig a big ass hole. I think by law, if you're going over, I forget the number, I think it's only about 600 mil down. You have to do your research to make sure there is nothing there you're going to hit. So dial before you dig, dial before you belt anything in the ground. Basically, if you're going to penetrate the ground, dial the number, costs you nothing. They'll come out, they'll tell you where everything is.
What number's that?
1100, already set up. Wake up.
He thought you were just chanting binary.
Yeah.
That happens.
Okay.
I was expecting 2 at the end of that.
Cool. Thanks for that. All right. Any other questions, quick? Yeah? You good to wind it up? All right. Thank you very much. We'll proceed with the memberships and other things, but we'll catch you all next month from Internet Land. Signing off.
Yeah.
Does the light come off?
Yeah,
Some kind of awesome graphic on that green screen.